Hello, dear viewers, and welcome to this special program where we are looking at the Synodal final document proposal implementation for Zambia. Many of you know that the Synod 2021 to 2024 closed, but indeed a crucial part has just begun with that closure. And to help me discuss the final Synod document proposed implementation for Zambia is no other than the missionary for synodality himself, Father Cletus Mwila from Monze Diocese. Father, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sidin. Thank you, viewers. It's a pleasure to be back and discuss this crucial part of the process of the Synod. Especially on the implementation here in Zambia.
Mm-hmm. So, dear viewers, you know too well that the Synod called by Pope Francis had as its theme communion, participation, and mission. Father Cletus, you represented Zambia as one of the parish priests called by the Holy Father Pope Francis at Vatican for a special session on Synod on synodality. Just tell us, how are you living the commission that you received as missionary of synodality?
Well, it has become part of my cup of coffee. Yeah, so you go everywhere, people identify you with the Synod, which is true, actually. That's what all of us must be. And so, just to recap the Synod as a crucial core, looking at the theme, we cannot sit back and say maybe we have closed, now we'll open again, but it's an ongoing, because as we all know, our core is to a synodal church, communion, participation, and mission. And a synod is journeying together. It's the whole call of the audience, of the people of God, working together. In another way, we could say the world and the church working together. So then when we talk about communion, we are talking about a family. The church has family. And I think here in Zambia, we are lucky because we've been thriving already on small Christian community. The church has family. And the 1994 Synod of Africa had underlined the value of the church as family. So that was communion. And then participation, lay people, women, youth, here, according to the Synod, must be more and more involved in the decision making. So it's not just a question of that I was there. It's not a question of the parish priest told us we can do this. No, but it is participating. It's being part and parcel of decision making of the life of the church. And then the third part of the theme and the whole life of the Synod is the church should go beyond its walls to evangelize and to save society. So we cannot just preach in churches, we can preach outside the churches, but we can also be part and parcel of the programs that are going on in society to make this world, to make this country a better country. And I think that's how I look at the Synod. So you ask me, how are you living this synodality? I'm part of it. I'm even part of the CDF.
Okay. Yeah,
because we want to be part of what's going on. We want to preach outside the church, but in society, to see how best we can improve the livelihoods of our people. Yes.
Okay. So now, Father, it is seen that this Synod that the Holy Father called 2021-2024 is being seen as the most extensive consultation process in the history of the church.
Yes. And
the final document that came up has 52 pages, that document, and outlines some substantial proposals for church renewal.
Yes.
Now, and it has about 5 or so themes. But before we get to that, kindly remind us what is the vision and the aim of this synod again?
Well, the Synod on Synodality final document outlines the Catholic Church's, I would call it, the Catholic Church's vision for renewal by embracing synodality. Here the words you can underline: vision, renewal, and synodality. Yeah, because if you have no vision, you're going nowhere. Secondly, if there is no chance to renew ourselves, the Italians use the word renovate ourselves, renovare, to renew, then there is no need to live because we remain the same way. But innovation here or renewal here means how else can we be church in today's world? In our country, which is, as we know, yes, there is still a larger part of Zambia that is rural and traditional, but a bigger part of Zambia also is becoming modernized. How can we be a church in such a modernized society? Then synodality, obviously, embracing the fact that we can walk together, we can coexist, Catholics and non-Catholics, people who don't believe in Christianity, those who anchor in traditional religions and other faiths, Islam. We cannot ignore any type of faith because they are present among us. So how can we be a synodal church that way? How can we journey together? I think this is the vision of the document of the synod, the final document on the synod, which emphasizes unity, it emphasizes inclusion, it also emphasizes shared decision making, then missionary outreach. When we look at this, then and we begin to put this into practice, then we are done. So there is unity in diversity, there is inclusion, leave no one behind. Then there is shared decision making. What are you saying? What are they saying? The young people, the elders, everyone, Catholics, non-Catholics, politicians, what are they saying? And then the missionary outreach. Missionary outreach here will say, how far shall we go beyond the wars? Bring the gospel to the nations. So I think that's how I would summarize the vision of the document, the final document of the Synod on synodality.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the aim?
Well, the aim obviously is renewal of the church. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the renewal of the church means that you cannot be as it was in the beginning, is now and ever shall be without change. Change is inevitable, but the church doesn't change. Mm-hmm. Times change. How do we become church in the changing times? I think that's the whole issue. For instance, if I say as a priest, because like the meeting, the synod I attended was for parish priests. As a parish priest, I know it all, so I tell you what to do. And no. That smallest parishioner knows something. So how am I involving this parishioner in the process of renewal? The younger generation whose language has changed. How do we evangelize young people as well as their language so that they can find themselves? I see actually what I'm just saying now comes at the very end as a challenge in a process of implementation of the synod. So this is the aim of the church, renewal and making the gospel acceptable in today's world. Because the gospel remains effective. Some people will say, well, the gospel is no longer, important. There's nothing that... No, the gospel remains as important as the time of Jesus. But it must be applicable to the given moment where you are, the language of the people, the culture of the people, the social, political situation of any given country. How do we situate this gospel in that context? And I think that's the aim of because so that the gospel will be effective, the church will be effective, the church becomes relevant in today's world.
Mm. Yes, Father, now, in simple terms, as the document itself is, how would you then propose, as much as you understand this document very well, how would you propose that the implementation of the document should be for Zambia?
Well, it's a very interesting, actually, your question is interesting. Even in the introduction of the document, you find it's a call to synodality. For all of us, to all of us, the church must listen to all voices. I know it. I've worked in the parish. I have had the opportunity to participate in the formation of the clergy in Zambia. I have participated in various aspects of the church in Zambia. Do we listen to all voices? That's a practical one. If we don't listen to all voices, it is very difficult to be synodal, especially those who are marginalized, those who are on the periphery of the church, those who are sitting at the edge of the church. And also, do we promote the spirit of communion, the church becoming a family, that I belong and I know this is where I belong? Let me give you an example. If one of the members of the church did something that was not acceptable, what is wrong? The way we react, it's like we don't know the person. And we don't want to be associated with the person because they have done something wrong. But in the family, we'll find a way of bailing out this person because he's a member of our family. The church, it's as simple as that. Do we embrace those who are ailing in the life of the church, in the parishes, in the small Christian community, in the lay group, or we condemn them because they will tarnish our image? So that was one way. Because baptism unites all Catholics. I know that. It unites all Catholics in co-responsibility for the church's mission. All of us, we are baptized. And it goes even beyond, because if you talk of baptism, you are talking of brethren in Christ Church, you are talking of Anglican Church, their baptism is the same as ours. And so all those are part of this, if you are to talk about it from baptism point of view. But from another angle, you are talking of life. God created us in his own image and likeness and made us to coexist, regardless of where we come from, color, race, culture, doesn't matter. So I think the implementation is to go back, accept the reality, and be sincere with the reality, and not to create our own image of what is right, but to be able to say, this is right according to God. And so how do we uphold it and make it user-friendly for our time so that the gospel becomes meaningful and attractive to everyone who is there? That way the mission of the church becomes effective as well. So that's how I would put it.
Okay. So in speaking to the theme of unity among Christians, the action you are saying is,
yes,
we need to go out.
Unity in diversity. It's the heart of synodality, actually. The church must embrace cultural and social differences while fostering harmony. Other churches, other faiths, other churches, Christian churches, we'll call it ecumenism. Interfaith, you will talk about interfaith, we'll call it interreligious dialogue. In order that we can begin to realize that if I'm a Catholic clergy, a priest, it does not send me, God does not send me only to the Catholics. He sends me beyond the walls of the Catholic Church. He sends me to the Muslims. He sends me to people who don't believe in God. Those who say, me, I don't believe. He sends me to the Anglicans. He sends me to politicians. He sends me to everyone. So at the end of the day, this will demand from me, the clergy and laity in the Catholic Church, to seek for conversion. I think for me, part of this movement is a call to conversion. How can I be a Catholic again in order that I can see and visualize those who are beyond where I am? And this is where your question comes in. Ecumenical engagement, interfaith dialogue. How do we engage others who are not part of the faith that we belong to? How can we encourage cooperation with other Christian denominations, with other religions? In the village where I come from, some in my family, some don't belong to the Catholic Church. And I come from Chikuni, where everybody says, oh, they are Catholics. But there are some in my family who don't belong to the Catholic Church. They don't go to anything. They believe in traditional religion. Do we ostracize them? Do we leave them out? No. How can we bring them on board? How can we listen to them? How can we engage with them? So in Zambia, we are lucky because of this diversity of cultures. We have 72 ethnic groups. I think that's what we say, 72, 73. All these, each group brings something. And depending where you are situated in the country, you become that. If the first missionaries were Catholics, you are a Catholic. If the first missionaries were Dutch Reformed, then you are Reformed in Zambia. If missionaries were Anglicans, you are Anglican. If they were New Apostles, then you are New Apostles. This is where we are. So now, how do we blend all this in order that we can benefit and enrich and allow the gospel to become a unifying factor? Because that presence is God present but wearing different faces among us. And I think that will be also a step into the synodal process, resurrecting the dialogue processes, which I think have gone to sleep in this country. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. And like you've said, Father, actually at the ordinations of be it priests or bishops themselves, yes, we are told that a priest is ordained for all.
Yes.
Exactly. A bishop is also
ordained for all.
Ordained for all.
Yes. So if we are ordained for all, we must go for all. That's what it is. This is what synod is. Synod, actually, for me, the synodal call is a call to building bridges. Build bridges across the people. Reach out. If the bridge is broken, mend it and cross over to the other, so that the all can become part of this, what we are talking about. The value of a human person created in the image and likeness of God. That God is present regardless of where one belongs, who they are. That God is calling us. So we are meant for all. What do I learn from the other churches, Catholic Christian churches? What do I learn from other religions? There are common values. Actually, some of the things that we can talk about. I know that religions, there's no religion that promotes poverty. And there's no religion there's no Christian denomination that promotes poverty. Catholic Church doesn't. So we fight poverty. That would be a meeting point. Or where, like we just coming out of a very bad year in Zambia because of the drought. Fighting hunger is a common problem. So we can meet. We don't need to meet on agreeing what is right and what is wrong in terms of doctrines. But we meet at what is common enemy for humanity. Muslims know. Catholics know. BIC know. Anglicans know. Pentecostal churches know. So how can we come together and help out a situation in order to uplift the livelihoods of our people? That's what the gospel is sending us to do. So when we just preach in the air, it doesn't help anybody. But when we make it practical, it's a process of implementation of the synod.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Now, Father, what about the need to empower lay participation and the action needed to implement this aspect?
Yes, that was very much, it has been talked about from the very beginning of the synod process, 2021 to 2024. And in the final document, the lay people must be empowered. Yeah, in Zambia, we are lucky because lay people are already active. Mm-hmm. Maybe, I don't know whether there's something like they are active but passive. Why do I say passive? Because their being active just ends at being there, celebrating at Mass, gathering for a meeting. But I don't know how present they are in terms of decision making. I don't know. And probably this is what the challenge the Synod is raising for all of us is, how are we helping the lay people to participate at the level of being active and really active? I'll give you examples where this can happen at parish level. Parish councils, parish pastoral councils we have. They are there, but they are all lined up in terms of, I'm supposed to be doing this, up to here, it's this one and that kind. But no, I think they were not meant for that. They are not parliament. They are a community of leaders inspired by the Holy Spirit to listen to what God is saying to the life of the parish, in order that we can all say, we are the parish. I don't know whether this is happening. I think this is where now renewal again comes in the area of pastoral councils. When the Second Vatican Council proposed them, they were meant to make lay people participate fully in the life of the church. But now they have become like institutions. They have become like a group of people that are set apart against the other lay people, more so against priests. It's like it's a competition rather than it is a mission of Christ among us. So the lay people, especially women and youths, must play greater roles in leadership and decision making. This one, I think for me, for the process of implementation in Zambia, we shouldn't just say there were so many youths at the youth rally, there were so many women yes, there were many. Oh, they contributed so much money. Yes, I agree. But are they part of leadership? Are they part of decision making? Because, especially youths, they feel distant from the church. The language seemed to be strange to them. Many youths have gone in the Catholic Church. I know other churches can say the truth, the same. They have gone. And anything that is different for them, they embrace and they think that is it. At the end, we are building a community of a people that is losing what we gained ourselves. But after gaining, we closed, and we have not allowed them to be part of this movement. Leadership, decision-making, and playing a greater role, being there and feeling I'm part of this, I'm the church. Actually, if you say, what are you saying there? The church must be user-friendly to the youths. Then the youths will identify themselves with. So in the process of implementation, for me, it's not about rallies for youths. It's not about what. Youths must be given an opportunity to understand their own church. Recently I was discussing with someone, one of the probably general weaknesses that we have now is what I call theological poverty. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many understand in terms of young people, their church. But they are there. They are youths. This is your role. But do they really understand? It is probably catching up with some of us priests, some of the religious women and men, that we are becoming theologically poor. Mm. And so if we become theologically poor, it becomes difficult for us to invite, to listen, to include, to embrace, because we see them as, this is not their role, it's my role. But it is not supposed to be like that. We are supposed to embrace. So we are supposed to listen, to include. The church, as we said earlier on, must embrace the voices of those who feel excluded for various reasons, some of them through marriages, gender, social conditions, whatever the case. And the family becomes the model of the church. Families must be supported in faith formation, leadership, and mission. The family, I'm talking about the family, your family, my family, not a family just at the church, but family at home. Are they being helped in faith formation? So faith I receive at baptism, but a few years later I lose it because I'm not helped to continually live it and making it my own. At the end, there comes now what we call theological poverty. So in Zambia, I think for me, the area of theology, simplified theology that speaks directly and simply to the communities, our people, is another area we must explore as a church in Zambia.
Mm-hmm. So maybe Father, also here, maybe you can explain, understanding the document yourself and the synodal process. When the synod members were talking about empowerment of the laity, what is it they were talking about? Is it some kind of education? Because it's one thing to give leadership to someone, but if one is not empowered in terms of maybe education of some sort, is it theology that you are talking about? Yeah. What is this empowerment?
Empowerment document is I think there are many areas that we can refer to, but I think basically what they were talking about, empowerment means you cannot just give leadership to a lay person without forming them, helping them to understand what they are becoming. And I think it comes back to what we're talking about, the not knowing. For instance, if we put up a deliberate announcement that there will be a training in whatever area at the seminary at St. Dominic's, so any lay person who would like to attend is free to attend, can pay a little bit of money and come and attend. I'll tell you, I can almost bet very few will come. We haven't empowered our people. Our people have not reached a point where they can run for such knowledge. Look at writing in Zambia. How many write? In Zambia, how many are researching in terms of culture versus faith? Who is writing? We are not writing. We've stopped it. Why? Because we feel we can go for mass. We attend church, there is no problem. We come back and sit. And so we have swung into the direction of going to church and in not trying to understand why we go to church. So this is the empowerment here means make me understand. Help me to love what I understand. Help me to know why I must contribute so that it can grow. That's why you find that pastorally also there were arguments like, oh, the lay people must contribute money to the parish or whatever. It's okay, yes. But others will say, oh, if you don't contribute, then when you die, we won't bury you. That's not empowering. That's frightening. So here empowerment means, why do I contribute? Because I want the church to grow. I love the church. I want the church to grow. Because to go out, we will need to spend. But I know that as the church grows, if I die, they will bury me. I know that. But I don't need to pay money for that. I think that's what empowerment is. It's not frightening people. It is helping them to appreciate their own faith. And also knowing that I can participate. Knowing that I don't need to be in a position of leadership for me to participate. I need to be baptized and being a member. And I think this was what. Then when they talk about leadership in the synod, it was because some parts of the world, anyway, for your own information, they have no parish councils. They don't have parish councils. So they are being challenged to form parish councils because the priest has been doing everything. And if you pay the people, maybe that's what it is. So that is another area that you go and open up the church to the lay people. Let them participate. Let them form pastoral councils so that they can be part of decision making. And even where you go, that lay people are participating and are part of decision making. You find majority are men. But the majority of the women who are so many in the church, they are not there. Mm-hmm. How do we empower women a little more than just lay groups, but in decision making, so that women can know that they have more to offer the church than just belong. Lusaka, as we are, is a center of Zambia. People who are educated from my village, they are here. People who are educated in your village, they are here. People who are educated in Kasama, they are here. In Mungu, in Solwezi, anywhere, they are here. So they form the church here in Lusaka. The church in the village where they come from has remained where they left it, as poor as the time they left it. Because the type of education in Africa is that you leave home and come to town. So if you get educated, you come to town. And the people who came to town, who are educated, who are able to access more money, they have formed their church here. But in the village, the church is still poor. So implementation of the synod is, in Zambia will be, part of it will be, how do we share resources to grow the church across the country? So that parish which is very in the corner, normally people will talk about Shangombo. I can talk of Vub with the other side. In our diocese they say Fumbo, and other parishes. And we have means to grow the church everywhere. So for me, I think if we are going to look for theological reasons for implementing, that will be far-fetched. What we need to do is synodality means how are we sharing the resources in the same church before we can talk about the government sharing resources with rural areas from Lusaka.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Dear viewers, you are watching a very special program where we are featuring Father Cletus Mwira, a missionary of synodality. You can get in touch, contact us, call us, and send your messages. Ask Father Cletus here your burning questions on the implementation of the synod as he is proposing it for Zambia. Father, the other aspect would be of, I know you've touched on the issues of the local social issues that we have in Zambia and how they need to be promoted as regards the document. However, maybe speak more to the issue again of how you can engage the marginalized from the document.
Yes, the marginalized here, I think anybody who is marginal is being unjustly treated. We are talking of issues of social justice. As a young student, when I was studying at the seminary, in the early years, even in the philosophy years, and the Latin America talked about social justice so much, and we used to write this issue, to this point. But today no one does that. So social justice is not criticizing another person. Social justice is reminding ourselves that the needy, those who are marginalized, have the right to participate. I think that's all it means. It's not blaming another person. It's not becoming aware, each one of us becoming aware that I have the right or responsibility to invite the one who is on the margin to come in the center. But sometimes in Zambia, if I think I'm stronger in that area towards you, I use it until I make you feel broken. But that's not social justice. Social justice is, how do we share the resources? How do we share the knowledge? I think we talked about the urban church and the rural church. How do we share the resources? Even in number of students training to be priests in Zambia, you find in urban places there are more students training to be priests. In rural areas, no. How do we address to that? Are we sure that God is calling in town? No, but in town there are more people probably. In rural areas there are fewer. But also in rural areas there are no resources. Those are social justice issues. How do we deal with them? How do we, even when you are training me as a young student for the priesthood, you are teaching me catechism at church, how do you help me to understand this? So the whole area of catechesis is affected. Then there is integral ecology. Here we're talking about environment. We've been talking in Zambia, planting the tree. You find sometimes a few people are marching with the plants of trees they plant. There are no trees that grow anywhere. How do we address to this? So these are issues, these are matters that affect the church, and the marginalized remain marginal. The depleted environment remains depleted, and the rain, when it comes, we are so excited. But it should be part of us. But because we damaged Mother Earth, and we continue to damage it, see how we celebrate when we see the rain. But when we were growing up, it used to rain. We knew it was rainy season. Now we've been talking about, what do you call, not economic change, what do you call, climate change. Everybody, no, they say the climate change now, so it's not going to rain this year. How can we say that? But God alone, who created the rain season. Science is created by God. The one who knows science was created by God. Diminishing the sacred in order to argue what is going on. So all that makes certain people lose because they don't know. And they believe what we say. Children will eventually believe in science than they will believe in God. They are on the margin. So how are we doing all this? And I think these are areas advocating for the poor. You know, there are poor people and there are very poor people. Advocating for them. And reminding me, teach me why you think I shouldn't just damage the environment like that. Don't be reactional. Once a year you talk, then you go again next year. No, every time. Part of catechism, at home, those who know, of us who know, sit with our children, our grandchildren, and explain why we shouldn't damage Mother Earth. I think this is what we are called. Synodality is not a theological, scientific argument that no one understands. But it's a user-friendly daily. That's why even the smallest, the oldest, the woman, the man will understand the language of synodality. And I think this is the core. Then there is healing. Here we are talking about the two types of healing. There is the physically sick people. And then those who are broken in the soul. We don't take it for granted. We take it for granted. I had a chance to celebrate Mass with widows and widowers. And at the end of that Mass, we had a synodal process together. I think I learned something where they were telling me, Father, you see me outside. I lost my husband 10 years ago. You see me outside wearing very nice clothes. I look elegant and all this. When I go in my house, I still mourn my husband. How many of us are aware that there are so many in our parishes, in our communities, that cry for healing? But when we see them present a gift in church, when they adore us as priests and bishops and everyone, we think they are okay. They need healing. How are we coming up with these processes that can help to heal people? I saw the church in Botswana. It has quite a formidable process of counseling in parishes. Every parish office nearby, there is an office for counseling. Do we counsel people? Are we counseled ourselves so that probably we can convert from how we saw the church before and see it how it is calling us to be today? Maybe I need counseling to be able to say, well, I was once told you're a parish priest, but now I'm told you're a servant, wash the feet of the people. I need counseling for me to heal. But those, and at the end, I'll talk about those who have been abused, those who have orchestrated clericalism. We are priests. Yes, we are. But to be a priest does not make me better than you. And this is what Pope Francis said at our synod. Parish priests, you are not the upper class. You are servants. One begins then to say, clericalism cannot always be pointed at another person. It is a thing in me, and I need healing. The whole issue of rebuilding trust in the life of the church. We have injured one another in various ways. We've called one another sometimes names in the Catholic Church within and with other churches, between Christian churches, sometimes interfaith churches, religions. We have to rebuild trust once again that we are marching to the same destination, the kingdom of God. And everyone who marches along is necessary because no one should remain behind.
Father, from what you've said, I'll take you back a little bit and explain. You said when you had Mass with the widows and the widowers, at the end of it, you had the synodal process. I don't understand. What is it that you are doing? What is it that you are calling the synodal process? What were you doing?
They became part of the journey and they shared their story. Synod is about telling your story.
Okay.
How many people tell their story? Other than saying, you come to church, in the name of the Father, Son, we worship and we go. They had a chance to tell their story. That's why I learned that someone could have lost their husband or wife 10 years. And 10 years later, they are still in pain and they are still crying. One young lady said she lost her husband when she was 28. She's now 39. When she was 35 or 36, they chose her to be chairperson of a small Christian community. The community rejected her. What would you tell us? You're not married. You are young. They almost said you are a widow. And she shared that story. How many have a chance to share those stories? How many are able to tell these stories so that we can realize what we are going through? So the synod process, Sidin, and those who are watching us, is a process of healing. We can ignore it. We can continue to celebrate institution, power, authority. But I think deeper than all that, the healing. And the rural arrangement that we used to call home, that has been left depleted as it was when we left for the city. So for a church in Zambia, I believe the dialogue between the city and the village is inevitable. And the dialogue between the church and the politics is inevitable. It's a whole issue of meeting points. What are the meeting points? Yeah, and I think these are some of the things that we need to know. What are the opportunities? In fact, I use that word. There are so many opportunities, but we use those opportunities in order that when we use them, the church in Zambia becomes better. The social arrangement, the political arrangement, the religious arrangement. We are brothers and sisters. The rich, the poor, the Catholics, the other churches, the other religions. Once we are become aware and conscious of this, the movement becomes so beautiful. It becomes a symphony, a beautiful song sung by the creation of God, like those who were walking to Emmaus. Eventually he joined them. And also when you look at the emblem of the synod, it has everyone in the wheelchair. It has a bishop, it has a nun, it has a lame person, it has everyone, child, priest, whoever. They're all there, but walking to the same song of our salvation. That's why St. Augustine, when he was asked, what are the 3 ways that lead to salvation? He said, number one, humility. Number two, humility. Number three, humility. Synodality calls us to be humble. And myself as a missionary of synodality, I've come to realize synodality is all about being humble. It's being able to say, look, I have been through this. We've been on top of the mountains, all of us. We have sat on beautiful chairs. But time comes when it is very necessary and inevitable for us to come down those comfortable chairs, walk with those that are lowest. Jesus came to a culture where if you were a leper, you were outside the wall. When it was his turn, he cured the one who was outside the wall, the leper, and they drove him outside the wall. He went to identify himself with those that were outside the wall. And that's what synodality is about. With the marginal people, the simple people.
Mm-hmm. I wanted to ask, what is it that can be done in practical terms between rich parishes and poor parishes, and then rural dioceses and dioceses that are in towns, but
but your question is still valid. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I run a parish that is rich, mm-hmm. I'm willing to talk with my brother who is running a parish which is poor. Mm-hmm. And we sit and look at terms. How can we help one another? Mm-hmm. The bishops in Zambia, they know themselves. Mm-hmm. Those who run dioceses where possibilities are higher and opportunities are more, and those who run, they should sit and talk. I mean, it doesn't exclude anyone. It's all of us. I run now a pastoral center. I was sent to run a pastoral center, which I'm slowly pushing that it be a school of synodality. Meaning, you can come there and we discuss this church that is synodal. Formation, retreat, faith formation, all this. So, how can I, whatever number of years I'll be given there, how do I use that facility to help another one who has no facility so that they can benefit? I think that it's all of us. This is what we talked about, conversion. Always, every time we wake up, we should be able to say, am I being converted for the good of the whole church? Not only for my good, but for the good of the whole church. How am I opening up? But if I refuse to convert, we will remain at the same level. We'll be talking about, no, this diocese is better than the other one, this parish is better than the other one, this one is... But that's not what we are called to do. We are called to share equitably, if you like. Those who have more should give those that have less. And those who have less, they have something, they have more. They should give it to those who have more there, but less in that area. Mm. And I think it's a dialogue. And synodality is about dialogue.
Mm. Mm. Are you also suggesting in the same lines that even in terms of forming seminarians,
everything
they should do help? Or even those that are already ordained should be maybe seconded to another diocese?
Yes. The mission of the church is wider. When I was in Azak, we were already talking about a student who is going on pastoral year from Mongu can be sent to Chipata for 1 year. Or a student who is from Kasama can be sent to Monze for 1 year. In a country like ours that Kaunda insisted on, we were one people. Why shouldn't we be one people when it comes to the church? Because if I'm a student from Mansa, and at a time that I'm being trained, I'm sent to Mongu, by the time I get ordained, I speak Lozi. I've benefited, the church in Zambia has benefited. I can go back to Mansa to work, or I can go to be a missionary in Mongu. So I think for me, these are realities that could go as a package for implementation in Zambia, implementing our synod. Otherwise, we'll be just talking about, no, everybody's called, we should work together. Yes, we are already working, we are tired of working together, but now it's time to bear fruits out of the work together. And I think that's what we are talking about. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the document also talks about missionary discipleship. How can we bring this to implementation, to practical terms and to its fruition?
Mm-hmm. Here, it's... the church's mission, actually, when you talk of missionary discipleship, it's talking about strengthening the church's mission. Evangelization should be adopted to the local realities. And I think that's what we have just talked about. What are the realities? Sometimes we just say, oh, in Rome. Yes, it's true in Rome, but what are our only reality here? What is it that you... How do we... So discipleship is There's a master we are following. It's the Lord. You know, immediately I begin to feel I'm following myself. There's something wrong there. Because discipleship is Jesus. We sit at the feet of Jesus and learn from him. During the synod, there was a very strong argument that if I said, who are you? You'll say, I'm a Christian. And the synod say, oh, wait a minute, are you a Christian? Maybe you are becoming a Christian. Because discipleship is a movement. And if we were Christians, all these things you are asking me, how do we implement them? We would have already done them. Because Jesus would help the poor diocese if he belonged to a rich diocese. That's what he would do. Or if he belonged to a rich parish, he would help the poor parish. That's what Jesus would do. But now I belong to a rich parish. I'm not helping the poor parish. But I'm a Christian. Logically, it doesn't follow. So what should we do? We are becoming Christians. We are in the process of becoming Christians. So it is necessary to underline the value of missionary discipleship. Learning from Jesus how he did mission. Will it be the way we shall do mission? Become responsible for the needs of the other. I'm my brother, my sister's keeper. The needs of the other. You know, like religious groups, religious congregations, some have more than the others, or religious groups may have and dioceses don't have. Why can't we share? Why can't we promote those who don't have so that they can also live a fair life? So that when we meet the Lord, we will be able to say, we did what humanly possible we could do. And what we didn't, we are not able, but we tried. That's what we would be saying. But the possibilities are there that others have and some don't have. So it becomes very difficult. So I think the questions are variable. The document is variable. It helps us reevaluate. And that's why we're talking about renewing. How do we renew? Respond to today's world. How do we do it? By becoming missionary disciples, learning from Jesus himself. If he found the hungry, he multiplied bread and they ate. If he found the sick, he says, rise and walk. If he found the dead, he says, rise, Lazarus. So that's what Christians should do.
Yeah. Father, as I drop my pen, the conclusion from the final document for the synod is written, a feast for all peoples. What does it mean?
Zambia is part of the feast. For me, just three highlights I want to show for Zambia, how we are part of that international cake called Synod, and why it was called Feast for All Peoples. Like I talked about, promote Christian unity. In Zambia, we can do that. Foster dialogue with denominations to address social issues together, Catholics and non-Catholics. Empower the laity. It comes back, and it's going to be costly on empowering the laity. I saw it when we had COVID, that we had not empowered the laity. We just locked the doors, and those Catholics or Christians who used to know being a Christian is going to church, the door shut, they were lost. Empower the laity, encourage lay leadership, especially among women and youth. Speak the language of the youth, but the gospel. Strengthen family life, community. Strengthen communities. Small Christian communities are vital, like the Archbishop of Kinshasa, Cardinal, I can't remember the name, but the Cardinal, he said in the early years of the Synod, he says, a small Christian community is the right place for synodality. Support faith formation in families. Strengthen small Christian communities. Then, when it is a feast for all, we are talking about ultimately for all that we do, my brother, and all friends who are watching and listening, we are doing it for the kingdom of God. When we get there, it will be an eternal feast of a people that were synodal here on earth, marching to this great moment where they will be with their Father in the abode of heaven. And that will be the kingdom. And that will be the feast. And everyone will be there.
Father Cletus Mwila,
thank you very much.
Missionary of Synodality.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for traveling all the way from Kizito Pastoral Center in Monze to Lumen TV in Lusaka for this special interview.
It's very important. We have to carry it. Today with me, you become a missionary of synodality. You who is watching, together with me, you're a missionary of synodality. And St. Kizito will be a school of synodality. Come, bring your programs there. We will be able to house them, but build this community, the church in Zambia, that it becomes aware of the needs of one another. The rich remember the poor. The rich parish thinks of the rich diocese thinks of the poor diocese. These are realities, and we have an opportunity now. The Synod has helped us to set a table where we can meet and discuss and find solutions. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Most welcome, Father, and thanks to you. Dear viewers, we've come to the end of this special interview where we are featuring Father Cletus Mwila, a missionary of synodality. As you have heard it all, I'm sure we are all excited and beginning now to journey to the feast of all peoples. Until next time, when we come to you with another topic or issue, bye for now and continue watching Lumen TV.